Welcome back to the Moonchild Podcast. I'm your host, Elijah KB, and today's topic is going to be ways to set boundaries as an empath. Okay. First of all, what is an empath? What do I mean when I say empath? Well, I mean it by its definition, right? An empath is a person who has the ability, to tap into other people's thoughts and emotions, right? So these are the people who know what you're thinking, know how you feel without any explanation, without you having to explain yourself, without you having to tell them, right? They just have the ability to already know what you want. You understand? So, okay, so as an empath, this is a beautiful ability, right? This is something that can come in handy a lot, right? But the dark side of this, one of the biggest lessons to learn as an empath is how to manage it, right? How to properly set boundaries and not be engulfed by other people's thoughts and emotions, right? And making decisions to benefit yourself sometimes to balance things out. Empaths tend to struggle with boundaries a lot. And a lot of times, people pleasing and people pleasers and empaths are sometimes one and the same. You understand? Not all the time. Okay. But there's a good portion of people pleasers that tend to be empaths, right? Because they already know what's going on with people and they're trying their best to make everybody else happy. And so they come off as too nice. You understand? Nice is a beautiful thing, but too nice is overkill. One of the ways that we're going to talk about on how to set boundaries is let me see, I wrote it down in the notes. So this is gonna sound crazy, right? But it only sounds crazy based on your prior conditioning. Okay, so the first one, practice being more selfish. Okay, practice being more selfish. What do I mean by practice being more selfish? First of all, why am I saying practice being more selfish? You hear your whole life you shouldn't be selfish, and you should share with people and you should connect with people and all that. Well, that's all beautiful for the average person, but as an empath, right? As a sensitive person who's able to tap into the thoughts and emotions of others, and can a lot of times in your early life be swayed by other people's thoughts and emotions and change your mind because of how other people think and feel, right? Living like that for most of your life, the only thing to balance you out properly will be more selfish acts. You understand? A more selfish approach. What this does is, in actuality, as an empath, this doesn't make this as a result won't make you a selfish person. This will actually balance you out and make you, put you right there in the middle, get you balanced. Just like the more selfish people have to practice selflessness to balance themselves out, because you got completely selfish, you know what I'm saying, on one side of the extreme, and then on the other extreme you have completely selfless, right? Now, if you're on either side of these, completely, then you're doing it wrong, right? This is neither one of these. Being completely selfless or being completely selfish, they're both wrong. They're both something that you don't want to do, right? But the middle is where it's at, right? So you don't want to be completely selfish. You don't want to be completely selfless. You want to be in the middle. Okay. So like I said, for those who are more so selfish, You understand, who more so are just in it for themselves, capitalism in a sense, right? Just figuring out their life for them, and it's all about them and what what they can get out of situations and things like that. For those people, they actually have to practice in order to balance out. They actually have to practice acts of selflessness, right? Selfless kindness and things like that. For those of us who are born a lot more sensitive to energies and thoughts and emotions of others, we actually have to practice selfishness to balance us out, right? So this actually brings us in the middle right there with people that would have to practice selflessness. We don't have to practice selflessness. The last thing we need to do is get better at being selfless. You understand? We already know how to do that. So at this point in life, what you're doing is you're bringing yourself to the middle by practicing selfishness, because now what you need to do is practice the separation. You understand? Separation is key for you, because connectivity, you already got that. You already know how you're connected to everybody and everything, and your heart goes out to people all the time and all this shit, and you do random acts of kindness without thinking about it. That's just who you are, right? That's your core. So in order to navigate in this life, navigate this life in a more productive way, you would really have to learn how to be more selfish. You understand? Selfishness is the thing to bring you to balance, right? That's the first one, is practicing being more self. So what do I mean by being more selfish? So being more selfish can be before you start to do something for somebody else, right? Think about how you're feeling. Can you do that? Can you afford, if somebody asks you a favor, right? Think to yourself, can you afford that energetically? Right? Can you afford to spend your energy like that today? Or do you need it? Do you need to be sitting with yourself this day and, doing what you have to do for you, or taking time to yourself, or spending your time, money, or energy, or all of those things on something that's beneficial to you today? You understand? Ask yourself this question before you go out and do anything for anybody else, because this will center you. This will put you back in your own body. You understand? Also practice grounding too. I didn't put that as a point. But that's gonna be another one. Practice grounding yourself. There's different grounding meditations, different ways you can do it, right? Do your own research and doing that. But I will say meditation helps. Try earthing, things like that. But like I said, completely different beneficial meditations to practice for grounding, right? So that is at your disposal. If you're here on the internet listening to me, you definitely can do that, right? Grounding meditations and things like that to put yourself in your own body. Put yourself back in your own body, because as an empath, you have the ability to jump into other people's bodies. Pretty much, you're jumping into other people's auric field. You might, go into a place feeling amazing and leave feeling depressed, not realizing that a person in there was feeling depressed, even if they were smiling, even if, on the physical level, everybody in there seemed fine, energetically, you picked up what nobody can see. You know what I mean? You picked up the unseen, which is an ability that you have as an empath, right? So this is beautiful, but the thing is, you have to start learning what's yours and what's not yours, right? So when you go home and you sort through your emotions, or you cleanse yourself of other people's energies and thoughts, you understand, you'll find a lot of times those mood swings that you have, or or things that you all of a sudden you feeling like this, or you feeling like, whatever, a lot of those thoughts and emotions don't even belong to you. Right. So you might catch yourself thinking about some shit you don't even think about, you don't even care about really, but today it just hits you heavy. And it just so happens that a friend came over, or, you went to some sort of public event, and there was a lot of energies around you. Right. This is why it's overwhelming for empaths to be in public a lot of the times, because you're picking up everything. A lot of people, don't see the problem in just going to different places all the time and just running with it, everywhere. They in and out of different events, and and they never really get tired of it. Not necessarily, right? They have a little more of a they have less of an ability. A lot of the times they have less of an ability to even, tap into what other people are feeling and thinking. So they're not really worried about that shit, because their reality is not like that. Whereas as an empath, it can be very overwhelming because you're picking up everything. So a lot of times in those moments, you have to figure out how to ground yourself, right? Also, I would recommend you meditating in public. Once you graduate from regular meditations in private, go and try meditating with everything else surrounding you, like meditating in a public place. You don't have to close your eyes and sit Indian style, per se, but just practice being present in the moment with everything. You know what I'm saying? And kind of learn how to sort through that. So number 2, we got speak up about things that make you uncomfortable. Right. This is a big one for empaths, because a lot of times we don't want to say shit about things that make us, things that are inconvenience to ourselves. Right. Because we know that if we say this, then this is going to affect this person like this, and this person like that, and that person like that. And then maybe they're going to start thinking like this, and maybe they're not going to like us. And maybe, you understand? So a lot of times we overwhelm ourselves by just biting the bullet. Right, biting the bullet and just trying to go with the flow. Whatever everybody else is on, you just try not to be difficult, right? So you just like, I'm gonna go with it. Fuck it, you know what I mean? I can deal with it. People can't deal with it, but I can deal with it. I always deal with it. I'm gonna just no, my nigga, say what the fuck you gotta say, about how you feeling. You understand? Or about what you think about something. And if it's going to inconvenience you, you definitely shouldn't be participating in it, and you definitely shouldn't allow it to happen. You understand? So, yeah, you're going to find some, if you're doing this in a environment where people are used to you being one kind of way, and you just going with the flow, and all of a sudden you got these boundaries popping up. Yeah, you're going to get some pushback about that. You're going to get, you're going to find people questioning you a lot more than they would question the average person, because they're not used to it. You know what I mean? One thing about this life is we teach people how to treat us, right? Everybody teaches people how to treat them. So, if you've gotten people adapted to you going with the flow and you doing whatever, it don't matter, you're going to always say, yeah, you're going to always just do whatever, then they're going to come to expect that from you. So when they start asking you, like, why not? Or, things like that, it might seem offensive, but you got to remind yourself that they've gotten used to you doing and saying whatever the fuck they said or how they feel. Like you've adapted yourself to that for so long, to the point where, they looking at you like, bro, like, but you always do everything I need you to do. You always going this place with me here, or you always giving me a ride here. You always letting me borrow this here. You always, spending your time and energy here when you're not busy. You know what I'm saying? Why can't you do it now? And so it's going to seem inconsistent when you breaking the mold of the old version of yourself. Right. And a lot of times you would have to separate from these people in order to gracefully do that. It's going to be rough initially anyway, because it's going to feel unnatural, right? You're not going to feel like you're supposed to be doing that because you've gotten so used to doing it the other way, that when you start to stand your ground and do what you have to do for yourself and speak up on what you have to speak up for yourself, it's going to feel unnatural because you never did that before. You weren't doing that before. You was more so doing, pretty much asking the world how you feel or what you should do. You know what I'm saying? Or what you cool with. Right. And acceptance is something a lot of people get caught up in. So they want to have the company of others and things like that. But the problem is, by you going with the flow and doing whatever everybody else wants you to do in order to try to fit in, yeah, you have company around you, but it'll never be the right company because these people don't even know who the fuck you are. You don't know who the fuck you are at this point, right? If you've been doing this your whole life, you never really introduced yourself to yourself fully, right? So, yeah, you will have company in that state, but it won't be the type of company that would really benefit you for your highest good, because these people are not even people who match your personality. These are just people that you picked up along the way, because you pick up everybody along the way, or people pick you up along the way, whatever you want, however you want to word it. But yeah, that's my second point. Let me see. Yeah, but speak up about what makes you uncomfortable. Don't just sit idly by and just let things go all the time. Sometimes it's not a big deal, but if you're practicing getting out of being super selfless, I would really start paying attention to my senses. Like, do I feel like doing this, or am I biting the bullet? Am I being sucked into somebody else's thoughts and emotions right now about this subject, or about this situation, or whatever it is, right? So keep that in mind. The third one, what we got? This is similar to practicing being more selfish. This one is practice saying no. Saying no to others is saying yes to yourself, right? So sometimes you can't do it, and that's scary, right? Like, as an empath, you probably thinking like, how the fuck am I supposed to pull that off? Like, how am I supposed to say no? I've been the yes man or the yes woman forever. Like, and you might have a fear of, and this goes back to the second one, might have a fear of like losing certain company, right? Because you've pretty much built a foundation, a phony foundation with people off of what you can do for them and what you cool with. But turns out that's not even your personality. You nowhere near cool with that type of shit. You don't even like, those type of movies or those type of events, or that's not even your humor. You don't even find that funny for real. But you've built something that you've become accustomed to. You've gotten comfortable with being uncomfortable in a lot of senses, right? So you might fear, if you start saying no and you start setting these type of boundaries, that you will lose a lot of those connections. And a lot of times you are right. As an empath, you would know. You understand? That psychic ability kicks in, and you do notice in the back of your mind that if you was to start standing your ground about certain shit, that the people that are around you would disappear, because they no longer match the shit you're putting out. You're no longer, what's the word? You're no longer holding a space for shit that is not even for you, right? You're no longer facilitating it. Okay, so saying no is saying yes to yourself. Saying no to others is saying yes to yourself. If somebody is asking you to give them a ride to work that day, and it's your only day off, and they know that, you know what I'm saying? But they're selfish enough to ask you to drive them maybe 3 to 4 hours away or some shit, you know what I'm saying? Knowing it's your day off. They don't give a fuck because they just trying to get there, right? So they'll ask that of you knowing what you're going through, right? So obviously if you leave it up to them, they're not gonna cut for you, right? You can't expect them to. It's nothing you should build malice about, because we teach people how to treat us. Again, remember, we teach people how to treat us, right? So they're just doing whatever the fuck we allow. Okay, so they'll ask that of you, and you're as an empath, you're very aware of the crossroad that you're at, right? You can either say yes, like you always do, and maintain a little friendship, or whatever, seemingly a friendship, right? And they'll just feed you the same bullshit they already feed you because they caught on to you, right? So they know that all I got to do to manipulate you is manipulate your emotions by saying, oh yeah, you a real nigga, you're a great friend, I always can count on you, shit like that, to make sure you keep doing shit like that, right? But you take the words to heart and you think that's my dog. Or really, they don't even do shit for you. They just, they just riding you, right? So, they just take advantage of you, right? So, you got that side, or you got the unexplored side, the side that you never really go to, which is saying no, which is what you really want to do, which is what you really need to do. So, you're right there. I'm encouraging you, a lot of us need a push, especially in the beginning. It feels unnatural, to do things that are different, right? It doesn't feel like we're supposed to. Just for a little, push, I'm giving you permission to say no. I'm giving you permission to say no. I'm giving you permission to say no and do what the fuck you got to do for you that day, or in that moment, or any of those moments, right? Because you deserve it. Okay, you deserve to take time to yourself and do what you have to do for you, and not have to worry about everybody else and wear the weight of the world on your shoulders, right? That's not your job. Feels like it because you're able to tap into everything and everyone. But that's not your job. Okay? Practice being more selfish. Practice these boundaries, techniques, and see how they work for you. Feel free to write in the comments, tell me how it works out for you, how it's working out for you. Also, as y'all know, if y'all been watching the podcast, I do one-on-one spiritual advice sessions. You can always book me for 30 minutes or an hour. Those are the two durations I offer for phone calls, for spiritual advice. So if that interests you, the link is below, and that's all I got for y'all tonight, man. So this has been the Moonchild Podcast with the Moonchild, his motherfucking self, Elijah KB. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. Y'all have a beautiful Wednesday. For those interested in spiritual advice, I now have a page where you can sign up for a one-on-one hour session with myself. The link will be in the description. And for any questions and topics for the podcast, feel free to email them to me.